Have you ever noticed how you act just a little bit differently online? Well, today we're going to dig into something that's quietly happening to all of us, how these virtual worlds we spend so much time in are fundamentally changing who we are.
So, picture this. You slide on a VR headset, and the real world around you it kind of melts away.
And in this new digital space, things are different. You're in a new body, an avatar. And hey, maybe this avatar is taller than you are in real life. Maybe it's stronger, more confident.
And that's when something really weird starts to happen. You don't just feel different, you actually start to act different. Your posture might straighten up, your voice gets a little bolder.
This all leads to a huge question, right? Is that person you become in the metaverse? Is that a fake you, an imitation? Or is it possible it's just another equally real version of yourself?
To even start to unpack that, we've got to look at how we even got here in the first place, how our whole idea of an online identity has been evolving. I mean, just think about the leap we've made. Back in the early days of the internet, your online identity was pretty flat, right? It was a static profile, a username, a profile pic, a short little bio. But the metaverse changes the entire game. You don't just have a profile anymore, you inhabit an avatar. Your digital self isn't a snapshot, it's a living, breathing, interactive experience.
Okay, so if our digital self is now an experience, how does that experience end up changing us? This is where the psychology gets really fascinating.
Turns out, researchers actually have a name for this. It's called the Proteus effect. And it's this powerful idea that the traits of your avatar can actually start to bleed into your real-world behavior. It's not just online anymore. And the evidence is pretty wild. Studies have shown that when people use taller avatars, they actually negotiate more assertively in tasks that follow. When their avatars are more conventionally attractive, they become more socially bold. You think you're controlling your avatar, but in a very real way, your avatar starts to control you. Just think about the implications. This could be a game changer for things like public speaking training or even therapy, giving people a safe sandbox to practice new ways of being. This potential basically transforms the metaverse into a kind of personality laboratory. It's this space where you can experiment safely. You can test drive being a more confident you, or a more creative you, or even a more heroic version of yourself, and just see what sticks. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, that's cool, but my brain knows it's just a game. Well, it's not quite that simple. To really get the blur between these worlds, you have to understand why these virtual experiences can feel so incredibly real. The secret ingredient here is a psychological state called presence. This is that powerful, all-in feeling of actually being there. It's the exact moment your brain stops processing a simulation and just accepts the virtual world as a real place. So how does your brain get tricked like that? It all comes down to sensory alignment. When you move your physical hand and your virtual hand move at the exact same time, with zero lag, your brain connects the dots. It accepts the virtual body's movements as its own. And when that happens, boom, you've achieved presence. You truly feel like you are in that space. And once you feel truly present, another well-known psychological thing kicks in, the online disinhibition effect. This is that tendency for people to feel way less restrained and just be more open when they're online. It's usually a mix of feeling anonymous, not having those face-to-face cues, and just feeling like you're in a space where the normal rules don't apply. Of course, this effect is a total double-edged sword. On the one hand, it can lead to amazing things, like deep emotional honesty or finding these incredibly supportive communities where you feel you can be your true self. But on the other hand, it's what fuels all the negatives we know too well. Toxic behavior, unhealthy escapism, and sometimes even a real profound confusion about who you are. And this gets us right to the central tension of our digital selves. Are we using these incredible tools for self-discovery, or are we kind of falling into a trap of self-deception? You know, a great way to think about this is that the metaverse is like a mirror. But it's not a normal mirror that just reflects who you are right now. It's a mirror that can show you who you want to be, and sometimes who you're afraid you might be.
And this really leads us down two totally different paths. On one side, you've got self-expansion. That's where you use the virtual world to build up skills, like confidence, that you then bring back and integrate into your real life. But the other side is identity disconnection. This is what happens when your virtual self starts to feel so much better, so superior, that your real self feels inadequate. And that can lead to real dissatisfaction and feeling like you're split into pieces.
But it's not all conflict and confusion. Not at all.
In fact, some of the most hopeful uses for all this technology are popping up right now, especially in mental health.
Get this. In some therapies, patients who hear distressing voices can now create a digital avatar of that voice. They can literally stand face-to-face with it in a controlled, virtual space and confront it, and it's been shown to significantly reduce their fear and anxiety. I mean, that's an incredibly powerful tool for healing.
So, where does all this go from here? What's the next step for our digital identities? And maybe more importantly, who's going to be in control?
One of the most important concepts bubbling up is something called self-sovereign identity. The idea is simple, but it's totally revolutionary. Instead of big companies owning your data and your digital identity, you do. You'd have this one core digital self that you own, that you control, and that you can carry with you from platform to platform, just like you carry your real-world identity with you everywhere you go.
All of this technology really forces us to ask a pretty profound question about ourselves. Are you just a physical body stuck in one reality, or are you something more, flexible, an identity that can actually learn and grow and evolve across all these different realities?
And maybe that's the real takeaway here. The goal of building this digital self probably isn't to escape or replace our real one. The real challenge, and the real opportunity, is to build a bridge between our worlds, to find alignment, so the best parts of who we are online can help us become even better versions of ourselves everywhere.